Good evening, Shortcuts. This is Stephen here with video 1 for the week of Wednesday, October 4th. This one's going to be a little bit different, but just as a reminder, if you're new to this is your preview list. Everything here will go on a price list, which will be emailed out at 9 p.m. sharp on Wednesday evening, the 4th of October. Let me just check the date. That's right, the 4th of October. All right. This is a very different premise that I've got. This is my first nothing over $35 for quite some time. In fact, I can't remember the last time I did one of these. I've got a list of really cool records here. I'm going to go through them at a reasonable clip. None of these are going to be over $35. Most of them will be significantly under that mark. Couple of things. A lot of these are Aussie and UK presses. The vinyl is excellent. The vinyl is really, really, really good. You do not need to worry about that type of thing. Although those of you who've known me for quite some time, if there ever is an issue, it's a no questions asked, I'll help sort it out type situation here. Now, I had to think of a t-shirt to wear for this because I haven't done one of these for a while. But those of you who know me for a while know how much I love this record. Red-Headed Stranger, Willie Nelson. Easily in my top 5 records of all time. Easily one of the greatest concept albums of all time. Has some of the most beautiful and poignant lyrics and melodies of any record I have ever heard, ever. This is the prime Willie Nelson period. Shotgun Willie, Phases and Stages, Red-Headed Stranger. The Red-Headed Stranger being the cowboy who lopes into town on his horse with a small bay horse behind him, and one of the ladies of the town eyes up the bay horse and thinks, that could be mine, and that's a mistake. I'm not going to say much more than that, but this is quite rare. This is the Aussie first press of Red-Headed Stranger. There's the story of the record on the back. It's an utterly magnificent record. If you don't have it, look it up, play it. It is sublime from start to finish. I promise. Anyway. All right, now I'm going to flick through a whole bunch of these. All of these, $35 or significantly less. I fully expect there to be a bit of a scrum on Wednesday when we go through these, because there's some good records here, as you're about to see. All right, now this record has never been sold on Discogs. There is one on there at some stupid amount of money. This is the Australian first press of Chinatown by Thin Lizzy. Chinatown, 1980. I think the likes, obviously the title track and Killer on the Loose and Genocide. I love this record. It's a great sleeve. It includes the inner. Vinyl is sublime, guys. All right, now we'll keep going. This is going to go all over the place. How about this? This is the double LP, Australia and New Zealand first press of Billy Joel's Greatest Hits, volumes 1 and 2. Piano Man, The Stranger, She's Always a Woman, Still Rock and Roll to Me, Uptown Girl. That is surprisingly hard to find. It really is. And often you find it and it's trashed. This vinyl is perfect. I've never seen it on Japanese vinyl. I think it is out there. I just think it's stupendously expensive. But that's a really nice copy. There you go. $35 or less. What's coming up next is, I think, one of the great records of the 80s. And this band were unfairly maligned because of the waterfall haircut of the lead singer. But this debut record is a knockout. This is the Aussie first press of A Flock of Seagulls. And you can see here, contains the hit I Ran. Interestingly, it's a removable adhesive, although I wouldn't advise you to do so at this point. This being the Australian first press from 1982. There are other songs on here that are really, really great. Modern Love is Automatic, and one of my favourites, Space Age Love Song. But the Aussie pressing, thankfully, has the full version of I Ran. There were some LPs that were pressed back in 82 and in subsequent represses where they replaced the album version of I Ran with the, of course, more truncated and radio-friendly single, which is nowhere near, which is still great, but it's not as good as the original, because the original has this really tremendous intro. Flock of Seagulls. Another classic, the Travelling Omens. This album, this record is in immaculate condition. I don't know if you can see that. It's great. The vinyl's great. The sleeve's great. We all know this record. Bob Dylan, Jeff Lynne, Tom Petty, Roy Orbison, and of course the mighty George Harrison. The insert in perfect condition as well. That will be $35 or less. In fact, you know what? I'm going, because of that little link that I kind of missed, I'm going to skip forward. I'm going to show you one other record that, if I can find it, of course not, there it is linked to the Wilburys, and that is Roy Orbison's Mystery Girl. Song wrote and recorded with Bono. There's the gatefold. She's a Mystery to Me, being the Bono song, if I remember correctly. But again, immaculate vinyl. Can you see that? Great. What about this? The Aussie first press. Now, I think this is from 73. So this is 50 years old. Marvin Gaye's Let's Get It On. Not easy vinyl to come from, especially come across on the original Motown label, of course. One of the great records of the 70s. That is going to be $35 or less. And now, of course, I feel like I need to sneeze, which is a bit unfortunate. When you're in the middle of making a video, I'm sure it'll sneak back up on me. All right, so we've had some 80s, some 70s. I'm pretty sure this is pretty much spot on 1980 as well. This artist is an iconic figure, a really kind of powerful screen presence as well. Right about the period this record was maybe just shortly after, this artist became a movie star as well. But I love this record. This is Warm Leatherette by Grace Jones. The title track being a really kind of potent, funky pop song. But there are some other great songs on here too. Love is the Drug. The Hunter Gets Captured by the Game, which is the opening track on side 2, is rather fantastic. The hidden sauce behind this record, of course, that this was produced by Sly and Robbie, who, the Jamaican duo that kind of, and it is not hyperbole to say so, were responsible, probably even more than Bob Marley, for popularizing reggae as a genre coming through to the early to mid 80s. Late 70s, early 80s. And, this record's, you will definitely hear in places that reggae kind of feel coming through. It's definitely not a reggae record though, but I really like it. And they're a couple of amazing musicians. A record's in immaculate condition. There are some people out there who try and sell Led Zeppelin, Aussie presses of Led Zeppelin records at silly money. They're really not worth any more than kind of $25. And so I've got two really good copies here of Led Zepp 2 and Led Zepp 4 that are, the vinyl's great, got all the inserts, obviously a lot cheaper than Japanese presses. And those are as good a copies as you'll get. You do not need to spend $40, $50, $60 for Aussie Led Zepp. 25 max, and that only if the vinyl is really, really good, and in this case, it's pristine. All right, we're about halfway through. Now, look at this. Queen, The Works. This record kind of set them on their way in the 80s, and when you look at the track list, the hits, Radio Gaga, Tear It Up, I Want to Break Free, Hammer to Fall, a lot of those songs became kind of just staples of their live show for the remainder of their career. And of course, all the post Freddie Mercury silliness. But I just want to show you that the inner is perfect and the vinyl is superb. Queen, The Works. I thought I'd chuck this in as well. Queen's Greatest Hits. This really is. No One Bites the Dust, Bohemian Rhapsody, Crazy Little Thing Called Love, Killer Queen, Fat Bottom Girls, Bicycle Race, Tie Your Mother Down, and that's just side one. It's kind of bonkers, isn't it? And then you open side two with We Will Rock You, We Are the Champions, and Flash. And then you finish it with Under Pressure. Legendary. Also legendary. Well, I'm going to roll these two together. Arguably, two of the greatest records of the 80s, full stop, bar none. And that's Graceland and Brothers in Arms. Graceland being controversial, of course it is. But think about the fact that Graceland brought Ladysmith, Black Mambaza into Western consciousness and kind of transformed their lives. And there is no bad pressing of this. There really isn't. The only thing that you got to watch for with this record is it's quite thin vinyl, and I've seen quite a few warps and things like that. But this is perfect with the inner, so you can't go wrong. Because these records were so popular, there are so many of them around, you do not need to spend any more than kind of $15, $20 on this record. Now this record is surprisingly and somewhat ironically amazing on vinyl, even though it was recorded digitally. And that's because you still get a warmth and clarity of vision in really well pressed vinyl. You do get it on some CDs as well, don't get me wrong. But this is as good a copy of Brothers in Arms as you will ever see. It's fantastic. Includes the really kind of, this inner lyric sheet gets completely trashed because it's so flimsy. But what you're getting with these records are really well looked after, no ring wear, really nice framed. As good a copy as you'll ever need, if that's what you want. And of course, slightly more sleeve damage on this, and that will be reflected in the price. But this is Love Over Gold, again with the inner, and this is where you start to get tracks like Telegraph Road and Private Investigations. Also superb on vinyl. This artist and this record in particular is kind of a surprise and delight feature because it's clearly one of the biggest albums of the early 80s, and heralded a true iconic world star, and that is Whitney Houston's debut album. Again, I've seen people try and sell this record for silly money. You don't need to. You can get fantastic copies of this at really, really appealing money, and it's lovely. And you know, if it's a gap in your collection, you cannot go wrong with that copy. All right, there are 3 more records to go. I'm going to show this one next because the records that have kind of snuck up on me in my time in Australia, Australian records that I think are maybe a little bit underappreciated, are records like this. Flowers, Ice House. I know there's all sorts of controversy about Ice House's name, etc. But this record is normally trashed. It's one of the few of that era that was a gatefold. The gatefold is actually quite tasteful. But the big thing is this record normally got trashed. Here you get the first press in fantastic condition. All right, just 2 more to go. A couple of UK bands that I think really hold up. And I've got some really cool music. This one is Spandau Ballet's Through the Barricades. A really beautiful song, actually, and kind of I think somewhat underappreciated, this record. It's got a really nice inner too. I really like this. Yeah. Gary Kemp was in town recently because he is the lead singer of oh my gosh, now I'm going to forget his name. The keyboardist from, or was it the bass player? Gosh. From Pink Floyd. Saucerful of Secrets, the band that was in town just a couple of weeks ago. He's the lead singer. And then you can see how beautiful the vinyl is. Again, these will go quick because they're going to be cheap. This will be quick. Spandau Ballet, Through the Barricades. And then finally, this is an interesting one. UB40's Present Arms. And the reason this is interesting is because UB40 had this little thing. These are the inners. There were 2 of them. This one being the record itself, Present Arms. Early 80s, again, I think it was 81. This is the record that's got Sardonygus and Wildcat on it, which I really, really like. The Campbell brothers, and a bunch of other UK reggae fans. But you see here it says bonus 45 RPM. They always did this. They always had a little bit extra in the vinyl. And in this case, it's this. It's a 12-inch of Don't Walk on the Grass. Yeah. And here's the vinyl. I don't reckon that's ever been played. I reckon whoever plays that will be playing it for the first time. There you have it. An unusual list, a nothing over $35 list from Shortcuts this week. If anything caught your eye, if you want to know more, if you have any questions, hit me up. As always, the email address is under the notes from my Shortcuts channel here on YouTube. Thank you all for watching as always. And watch out for the next list because it's got some special records. All right. Thanks a lot. Bye.